Thank you for visiting the YouTube channel for bestbiblecommentaries.com. In this video, I'd like to show you the Proverbs volume in the Mentor Commentary series. Before I do, I'd like to invite you to subscribe to this channel so you can see videos on Bible commentaries, study Bibles, and other resources that help people understand God's Word. John A. Kitchen is the author of Proverbs in the Mentor Commentary series. This volume was published in 2006. It is 790 pages in length. John A. Kitchen is a pastor of Stowe Alliance Fellowship, which is a CMA church, Christian Missionary and Alliance Church, and he's also written some other commentaries. One is on Philippians and another is on the pastoral epistles. This is probably the commentary that he's most well known for. The Mentor series, if you're not familiar with it, is out of the UK, and it is an evangelical commentary series, so all the authors are writing within the framework of evangelical theology. This particular series has pastors as a target audience, but I think Sunday school teachers, small group leaders, I think would do just fine with this. It's not a technical commentary. I would call it introductory to mid-level. The main point is to explain the meaning of the text, and in this particular case, provide application with some pastoral wisdom behind it. So, that's why it's great for ministry purposes. One of the unique things about this particular volume is how it comments. The commentary is arranged in a verse-by-verse format. And why that's unique is because there's a lot of Proverbs commentaries that are organized by theme, and the commentators comment on themes of the book of Proverbs and draw and discuss many verses under that particular theme. But this one is verse by verse. And it's quite unique in that regard. A lot of the well-reviewed, some of the most popular commentaries on the book of Proverbs are thematic. They're theme by theme, but this is verse by verse. So you can turn to any chapter, any verse, and find commentary on it. So here's just an example, Proverbs 14. Chapter 14, verse 1, the English is in bold, and then followed by commentary, in this case about a page and a half. 14, verse 2, the English is in bold, followed by about a paragraph and a half of commentary. Verse 3, the English is in bold. By the way, the English translation that's primarily used is the NASB, but as discussion warrants, other interpretations are brought into the discussion as well. But primarily, it's NASB. Proverbs 14:3 gets about a page or so, and on and on. So you can see every single verse in chapter 14 is commented upon, not just the wider theme. Now, some people might want a thematic approach and might use another commentary because maybe that's the approach they're using in teaching and preaching. But again, this commentary is unique among many other Proverbs commentaries because it takes a verse-by-verse approach. So here's just another chapter I randomly turned to, Proverbs 24, verse 1, English is in bold, and then commentary. Verse 2, English is in bold, and then commentary. So every section is like that, all the way up until Proverbs 31. Every verse is commented upon. So it's great to have a Proverbs commentary in your library that offers a verse-by-verse approach, and then maybe a few others that offer thematic approaches because those are helpful as well. Dr. Kitchen actually did a question and answer with me on this volume. I'll put a link to it down below, so after you're done watching this video, you can find out more about this volume in his own words. So how about a couple of reviews? One noteworthy review that I've always recalled about this Proverbs commentary is Pastor C.J. Mahaney has said that this is his favorite Proverbs commentary. So that's an interesting review, not necessarily academic one, but I just thought that's an interesting review. And so how about the Journal for the Evangelical Theological Society? So they reviewed this volume a few years ago, and the reviewer says that Kitchen has written a commentary that examines the text from a pastoral point of view and emphasizes practical application. And then he says this. He says that the verse-by-verse approach sometimes makes it challenging to see bigger themes. So that's part of the JETS review. The JETS is Journal for the Evangelical Theological Society. That sometimes the verse by verse approach, which I was just mentioning, makes it harder to see some of the bigger themes. I want to actually respond to that a little bit, because that has not been my experience with this commentary. Now, I think generally speaking, in a book that rewards a thematic approach, and I think there's absolutely a place for a thematic approach when it comes to studying the book of Proverbs. I think that's a great way to study it. I just think that a verse by verse commentary can be very helpful as well. And so, let me just give us a slight response to what the reviewer said in the Journal for the Evangelical Theological Society, that the verse-by-verse approach can sometimes miss some of the bigger themes. Let me just give this example from Proverbs 11, verse 1. So it says, "A false balance is an abomination to the Lord, but a just weight is his delight." And Kitchen says, "This chapter opens with a theme that is familiar throughout the whole Old Testament. God has no tolerance for false business practices. Such activity is condemned in the law, Leviticus 19, Deuteronomy 25, the prophets, Ezekiel 45, Amos 8, Micah 6, and here in the wisdom literature, Proverbs 16, chapter 20, and chapter 23. Now, so as you can see, Kitchen does talk about the themes. I mean, he will elaborate on those themes as the chapter goes on. So my point is, just because there is a verse-by-verse approach doesn't necessarily mean that themes aren't discussed. In this particular case, Kitchen does discuss themes in chapter 11 and elsewhere in the commentary. And so I think maybe the reviewer was maybe talking about this approach as a whole. The verse-by-verse approach can sometimes weaken some of the thematic insights. Maybe that's possible. I just don't see it in this particular volume. There are other places that he discusses themes as well. And here, this verse continues and advances the theme of speech beginning in verses 9 through 11. So there's a theme in relationship to the rest of the chapter. Here again, verse 19, continuing on this theme of the previous verse, and then it goes into this discussion that ends with insight regarding Romans 6 and James 1. So again, the theme is being discussed. Here again, Solomon continues on the theme of the wicked and the just. Next verse, continuing the theme of the fate of the wicked and the righteous. And it goes on, but you get the picture. Just because not every chapter has, or every section of the commentary has a thematic space where themes are discussed, it doesn't mean that the themes aren't discussed within the verse-by-verse approach, because obviously Dr. Kitchen does that. So that's what I would just push back a little bit on that JETS review for that reason. He said, and this is how the review ends: "The book's accomplishment lies in the area of pastoral concerns and a devotional approach rather than in academics. By far the strongest aspect of the book is the author's skill in personal application." So that's why I would say, if you're looking to use Proverbs for a ministry setting, I think this commentary would be very helpful. Because even as someone who gave a little bit of criticism for the approach Kitchen took, also said that he's very good with regard to devotional insight and personal application. So a couple of examples. First one from Proverbs 16, verse 3. This just gives you an idea of some of the content. It says, "Commit your works to the Lord, and your plans will be established." This third verse continues the theme of verses 1 and 2 and uses synthetic parallelism to advance his point. The first line calls upon us to commit our endeavors to the Lord. The verb is more literally roll, and it is used to describe rolling a large stone from the mouth of a well, Genesis 29. The idea here seems to be rolling one's plan and proposed works onto the Lord. Through prayer, we roll the anxiety of whether or not our hopes and plans will come true over onto God. Psalm 22, 37, and 55. Casting all your anxiety upon him because he cares for you. 1 Peter 5. God does not guarantee any and every plan we may conjure up, but those which the Lord has had a part in, and which he has been allowed to scrutinize. When our plans are in line with his plans, and our plan becomes a part of the story of God's redemptive plan for the world. If we plan and undertake our dreams with utter dependence upon the Lord for their fulfillment, and if we humbly acknowledge our accountability to him, he delights to mold our plans to conform to his, and thus establish them. Proverbs 4 and Psalm 90. So there's an example of some of the devotional reflection combined with explanation of the verse. So how about one more? Proverbs 19, verse 11. A man's discretion makes him slow to anger, and it is his glory to overlook a transgression. And in the first part of the comments, the longer paragraph discusses some of the dangers of uncontrolled anger. And then these comments. Of course, this does not necessarily mean that a man does not get angry. It means rather that he conceals that anger well and responds calmly until he can process the wrong that has been done to him. This ability to be slow to anger is so valuable because it is a reflection of God's own nature. Exodus 34, Numbers 14, Nehemiah 9, Psalm 86, and so on. The overlooking of a wrong, according to the second line, is a man's glory. The word is used to describe the beauty or adornment of something. It can refer to a reputation, name, fame, or renown. Retaliation is not the badge to wear. Rather, let us be known for being adorned by the beauty of forbearance and a long-suffering spirit. Love covers over another's sin rather than laying it bare. So as you can tell, a lot of devotional reflection, and why I think that this is a great volume on Proverbs to use for a ministry setting, preaching, teaching, Sunday school classes, small groups, even individual study, like as in a devotional aid. So I hope this video has been helpful to you in understanding more about this volume. I'll put some more links down below, including that Q&A, so please check that out. Thank you for visiting bestbiblecommentaries.com.